reason that I came up with this subject was because of my experiences talking about Devashana and talking about my experiences with Devashana, and how there were quite a few knee-jerk responses that were just, what are you doing? Why are you taking on another guru? What if he's full of shit? You're going back in the past, you're repeating your habits, you've got father hang-ups, and so on. All of which were very odd if you consider that if people were actually interested in what I'm doing, they only have to wait another week and they can check out Dave, and then they could actually tell me, I don't think Dave is any good and here's why, and I'd be very open to that. And that's partly why I want this to happen, is I want to get people's feedback about Dave. I'm very open even to critical feedback about Dave. I'm not open to people just drive-by shooting with knee-jerk reactions saying things that are completely devoid of any heart or soul or insight, that obviously I've thought of 1,000 times before and have been wrestling with, and so on and so forth. It's not like I don't know it's a risky endeavor to give someone the power to influence my behavior in that way, or to defer to somebody's greater wisdom, and so on and so forth. Of course it's risky. But the cool, defended avatar identity doesn't say it's risky, just says it's bullshit, because I'm the shit. And there's no way I'm ever going to look up to anyone else, because that's all shit. And we know that's all shit because we've seen the movies and we've done the paranoid awareness deconstruction, and we've proved that it's all a lie. Well, no, we haven't. Of course not. We've certainly deconstructed several layers of deception, but we haven't got to the final layer. So how can we say that underneath the final layer there isn't a pristine, essential self, nature, that is true and pure and good? And that's the whole purpose and reason to embark upon this deconstruction in the first place. Because if it was all shit, what's the difference? You might as well, just like in my nightmare, just keep on pretending and just enjoy the distractions. Pick the shit that you know, of the 51 flavors of shit, pick your favorite flavor. And that's not what I'm about. But the whole impetus of this quest has always been to get to the truth, with the understanding, with the absolute felt sense, belief, faith that the truth in its inherent goodness will set us free. So, but yeah, back to the loss of cool thing. Well, a central part of the illusion of cool, the illusion that cool provides, is illusory autonomy, independence, self-sufficiency. Hey, I'm cool, man. I don't need any of this shit. You know, I can pick and choose. I make my own choices. This is just the narcissistic nihilism of our times. Doesn't allow for the recognition of a higher authority unless you go into the AA. And it certainly doesn't allow for a human embodiment of virtue, even though that's kind of the only hope we have, is to become that. And if we aspire to becoming that, well, surely we'll be on the lookout to see if anyone else has made progress on that path and is exemplifying the thing that we're hoping to become. And yes, maybe we won't find it. That's true. Of course, that's possible. We are living in this terribly fallen dimension of being. But would we recognize them if we did find them? And if so, how? And how long would it take? And what would it look like? And how useful would that be? Seems to me it is incredibly useful to find somebody who is relatively free of the mind. And in fact, in a certain sense, and this is a limited sense because it's only referring to if we're going to look outward of us, outward from ourselves for some sort of ray of light, that may be the only hope that there is. Now, I say it's a limited sense because in the end, nothing outside of ourselves can save us or rescue us. Finally, I don't believe. We have to take the final step towards God, and then only God can retrieve our souls. But at the same time, none of this is going to happen without reference to what's outside of us. And well, I'm less sure that I can trust my own dreams, actually, than that I can trust certain things outside of myself, which would include other people at certain times and moments. This isn't a blanket surrender to a guru or anything like that. But it is a blanket trust in the immanence as well as the transcendence of the divine, and that there are pockets and corners of this fallen realm in which the divine shines through. There are rays of light, and my whole life has been about trying to locate that light and to follow it, like being deep down in a cave and labyrinths of caves, and just trying to sense where there was more light and where there was less, and just keep moving towards it until I could see an actual ray of light, and then I know that the opening is that way. I don't know how far it is and if I still have the strength to get there, but I know it is that way, and I will keep going that way. And maybe I still won't make it through my own failure, through my own lack of nerve or commitment. Yes, true, but at least I know the way, I believe I do. And that makes commitment a lot easier. And this does raise a certain conundrum, because I guess commitment isn't effort. I mean, in my dream, the nightmare, and I've had recurring nightmares of this kind, the only thing that I'm able to do in that situation of recognizing the trap that I'm in and the inescapability of the trap, the identity trap, is fully allow myself to see and feel and experience the anguish of being so situated, and yet to communicate that anguish, or to express that anguish, or to experience it in a way that is directed towards the light that I cannot actually see. Faith that if my cry is heartfelt enough, if my prayer is true enough, it will be answered. That's all I've got in those nightmare situations. And so that doesn't require effort, but it does require a willingness to be absolutely vulnerable to the situation, to not try and hide from it, and to allow myself to experience the powerlessness of it. So now, this doesn't happen much in life, and certainly doesn't happen very much with my relationships with Dave or Shana. Well, I shouldn't say certainly, because that would probably be the place it would most happen besides my marriage. A willingness to experience powerlessness and humility to surrender to the situation and to my inability to understand it or control it or direct it, and just trust that somehow something will save me from myself, from my own inability, my own confusion and despair. I certainly have been through that in my marriage, I will say that, and it seems to have been worth it, although it's not over yet, still very hard. And I would say I've been through that with David Shana also, particularly on this last retreat. And the question of trust came up on that last retreat. And I said to Dave and to the group, there's no way I'm ever going to 100% trust you, Dave. So if that's a prerequisite for working together, then it's not going to work. And what I meant then was with my mind. Mentally, there was no way for me to 100% trust Dave or anyone else. But what I realized with time, I mean, a very short time, like a day or two, was that it was the wrong configuration. I didn't need to 100% trust Dave as a human being. I needed to trust him just the way that I trust my wife or somebody that I know and love. That there has to be the trust there that was just natural part of knowing and loving someone. But beyond that, it was just about trusting Dave's abilities to deliver. And so far I've seen so far there's only been one occasion in which Dave didn't deliver, and I responded accordingly. I said, okay, so you're not delivering now, so I'm off, I'm on my own. And so we parted ways, and it was a good experience for me. And coming back was easy. A couple of years later, there was no hard feelings. It was just like, okay, so you're going this way now, and you're not really addressing my needs here now, or even acknowledging them so long. There wasn't rancor or recrimination. There was, you can imagine me, I was outspoken in my criticisms and so on, and I was hurt, but it wasn't like a big angry deal. And to me, that was as invaluable a part as all the rest of my experiences with Dave, is the recognition that there's no codependency going on there. That whatever I'm exploring and experiencing and getting closer to by associating with Dave, it's not dependent on Dave. And the moment that I'm getting further from it by sticking with Dave, then I move away from Dave. Then I keep going, and then I end up Dave's there again. Dave is a parallel rider. He's parallel, but he's also way ahead. I recognize that, but weirdly there's some trans-spatial dimension thing going on there, so that's a paradox, isn't it? Parallel and way ahead. But anyway, I don't want to talk particularly much about Dave, but this is a point of reference in terms of the overall subject about autonomy, the false autonomy of cool and the true autonomy that allows for a certain degree of deference and even dependence on another for us to find our way. We are interdependent. We are dependent on each other. So to pretend that we're not, and to balk at the possibility that we might really be much more lost than we know. We might really need more help than we realize. And we might be depending on any number of things that are really not beneficial to us, whether it's Netflix, whether it's cigarettes, whether it's alcohol, whether it's, casual sex, whether it's porn, whether it's, dysfunctional family relationships, and so on. Like, we're dependent on so many things, and that includes people. But they don't force us to see our dependence or our lack of autonomy. They come under the illusory rubric of, it's my choice, maybe not family, but discovering true autonomy seems to me is about What was I going to say there? Recognizing that the choices that we think we've made throughout our lives were not choices. They were reactions to the advertising. Well, I'm reluctant to put this into words, I suppose, but what is most important to me about my relationship with Deva Oshana is simply that from all I have been able to see in my 11 years associating with him, it is possible to be free. And not only is it possible, but it can happen at any time without any apparent effort or strategy or subterfuge or as a result of any kind of methodology. As Dave calls it, the journey of zero distance. We're already there, but something is preventing us from recognizing where we are. And that something, as long as it comes between us and an experience of ourselves and of reality, is as like everything. It's the equivalent to everything. It's a whole labyrinth of organized malevolence. I guess I have a challenge ahead, which is how to lose my cool without losing the plot. How to put down my primary tools of communication, language, writing, talking, to put down the aspect of them that's been weaponized and still be coherent. And yet I never stopped believing in good. I haven't been able to pay lip service to good because I haven't been able to believe in the words that culture society's given us to describe the good, nor have I been able to believe in the examples of good that I've discovered. So we have to be able to see the subtler cues. And this is why I feel that there is a metaphoric or a aspect to my attempting to introduce people to Deva Oshana and vice versa, because that's an example of something that seems like it can't really be good. I mean, to many people, obviously not to everyone, but because it has the accoutrements, the packaging of the spiritual marketplace, and is almost indistinguishable to the the passing observer from 1,000 other gurus out there who, one way or another, are inauthentic. So, and on top of that, the very nature of the experiences, or the experience, singular, the experience beyond the mind that I feel that Deva Oshana has access to in his own life, or lives in his life, and that he has helped me to have access to. This is by nature is an experience that can't be languified, that can't be captured by language. So that in itself is a tailor-made challenge for me at this stage. And even for that reason alone, I think it's worth doing. Because I don't know where else to go currently with language, where to take it when I've mapped to my own satisfaction the trap, the prison that I was born into. And I believe that those three books, Seen and Not Seen, Prisoner of Infinity, The Vice of Kings, together, if read right, if read with discernment and for the nuance and the subtext, and all the clues in there, is like a manual for your own cultural deconditioning. Potentially, they certainly map my own process up to this point, and this point is the threshold. Because if you see that all of your points of reference up until this point are compromised, have been given to you by the enemy, what do you do then? It's not enough just to say, well, I won't refer to any of those points of reference, because then you're adrift. It'd be like me trying to give up Netflix and Bombay Mix and all my other little comforts, thinking that, yes, this time I'll become a true formless warrior and I'll get free of the fallen realm of the flyers and the eagle won't eat me and I will live forever. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. It's not enough to see the nature of reality that imprisons us, or that aspect of reality, and to think, oh, well, I can figure my way out of it, or I can will my way out of it. No. When you see the nature of it, you see that will and mind and intellect and calculation isn't going to ever see us out of it. So all those points of reference, you say, well, they're imprisoning me. They were culturally, they incepted in me by a malevolent culture. And then what? Well, then where's the point of reference that's true? Where do I begin? How do I begin with a point of reference that's true? And where else but with other human beings? And where else, if we were lucky enough, with another human being that may actually have found the way to freedom? They may not, but it's not something I'm going to ignore, is it? This has all been the quest for that. Yeah, for the father, the brother, and so on. But yes, for truth and freedom, embodied in this realm, not some abstract thing or something in scripture or doctrine. Here, now, in the flesh.
I stay electrified in all your lies and smiles.